All right. It is the, I believe, 47th episode of the Runnin My Mouth podcast. I am your, I don't know, today's one of those days I can't think of an adjective to describe myself as, but I am your host, Erin, and allow me to run my mouth for a little bit. So, off rip, I have good news and I have bad news, team. Let's start with the bad news, because the bad news isn't really that bad. It's only really bad for, me. So, bad news is, I started this year with a list of goals for myself to accomplish, and one of those goals was to get nominated for an Emmy. And the Emmy nominations were this previous Sunday, and I have learned that I have not been nominated for an Emmy, but it's fine. There's always next year. So yeah, that's that. Like I said, it's only really bad for me, and even then it's not really that bad. It's not the end of the world. It's not crash out worthy in my opinion. Because my station did still get nominated for some Emmys. It's just none for our department, which in my opinion, we were snubbed. But, the nature of things like awards and competitions is that they are very subjective. It's very up to the person or people who are judging these things as to whether or not, they advance. Because there's a whole thing recently where the movie academy, the film academy, they recently made a rule where you have to, if you're an Oscars voter, you have to actually have watched the movie to vote, which is crazy that wasn't a requirement before, because, I guess they were just voting on vibes, and also something that I don't know if a lot of people know is that, there are, a lot of Academy members. It's not just, that one stock image of people sitting evilly around, a circular boardroom table or whatever. It's, kind of a lot of people. And I forgot how exactly you get Oscars membership. But yeah, apparently a lot of those people were voting based purely off of vibes, which is crazy. Because, you think of the Oscars, you think they're this big prestigious award that is based purely on merit. But the more you learn about the Oscars voting process and the Oscars campaigning process, you learn that that's kind of not the case. Which, some people write them off completely. I personally like watching the Oscars. I like the spectacle of it all. I watched this year's Oscars and I thought it was nice. This year of the Best Picture nominees, I don't think I watched most of them. So I would not have been a very good Academy voter if I was in the Academy. But anyways, all that aside, all that to say, no Emmy for me this year. But I still have other goals for myself this year, and that ties into the good news. And some of my other goals for this year, there's 4 in total, I believe. One of them was to learn more songs on the guitar, and I have started learning several songs on the guitar, but I've not finished any of them. But considering we are in May, I feel like I say it like that it's a group project. I have plenty of time to kind of get back into it, so I'm not super worried about that. And then my other goal was to read more books. Did something just fall? I don't know. I heard a sound. That was weird. My other goal was to read more books and watch more movies, and I think I have already read more books because I read one, literally just one, last year, and then I think I read 2 this year, or no. I can't remember. Either way, I'm on track for the books. Not sure about the movies. I have not been to the theater in a while. And it's crazy because I have so many streaming services at my fingertips. I have Max, Paramount Plus, and Peacock through my parents' cable subscription. So all of that, I don't pay for any of that. I guess technically they're paying for it. But I have all of that. And then I have a Netflix subscription that I'm paying for some reason that I'm not even using. And then, of course, being that I have the arcane knowledge, I know how to get pretty much any movie for free. So it's I have a wealth of options that I'm not using, even if, I don't want to pay to go to the theater, but I like going to the theater though. That's the thing. I like going to the theater. I like the experience. As someone who did not grow up with a movie theater easily accessible to them, I still enjoy the novelty of a movie theater. I'm gonna just put that out there. Um, but I don't know. I guess it's just like a time thing, because I don't want to see a movie during the week because, I have very limited afternoon time. And even though, I mean, realistically, I'm not really doing all that much when I get home from work. So I could, because it is usually discounted during the week. But I don't know. There's something about it that I just don't want. After, having fallen asleep on more than one occasion in a movie theater on a weeknight after work, I don't really want to do that again. So yeah, I want to get my money's worth. I want to be up and awake to be able to see the movie. But, anyways, all of that aside, one of my other goals for this year was to move into a bigger apartment. And that is the good news because I am moving. Yes, after having talked about it ad nauseum at this point for months, I guess. I mean, I've talked about this for a very long time. I've wanted to move from this apartment for about a year. I can't remember why I didn't take the plunge last year and do it. I think, well, I don't know what I was thinking, but I didn't do it last year. And I was like, this year I'm tired of this space and I want to move somewhere bigger. I was really on my head to move into a house. Unfortunately, I will not be moving into a house. The really weird thing about it is that, and this might have been my first mistake, but I've been looking every day when I would go to work. One of the first things that I would do before I even started working is that I would go on Zillow.com every day, which I didn't really need to be doing that every day, but every day I would go on Zillow.com and I would sort by newest and see what has popped up so that I could save it to my saved homes. And then, of course, they would inevitably be rented out by somebody because keep in mind, I was doing this in like February and January. So it's like, that's far too early to be looking, you know? So I was doing that. And when, the beginning of the month of May came, I was like, well, before that, I was like, okay, I'm going to actually start reaching out in May because my lease is up here at the end of June. And so I thought that would give me an adequate amount of time to start looking. But then I was talking to my mom last weekend and she was like, I can't really even remember what she said, but whatever she said kind of made me freak out. So I was like, okay, I got to get serious. So I started reaching out to pretty much every saved house that I had in my saved houses in Zillow. And I did end up looking at two of them. The first one that I looked at, honestly, I mean, it was fine. Actually, no, it wasn't fine. It was actually kind of small. The bedrooms were small. I was looking exclusively at 2-bedroom apartments, and the 2 bedrooms were small. Like, they were smaller than my current bedroom. And let me tell you, my house is not that big. It really isn't. It's petite. It's a very petite home. So, seeing that, I was like, whatever. And also, it was like, I don't know how to explain it. It was like, a bunch of like newly constructed like duplexes all in this one weird cul-de-sac. And looking at the pictures of the outside, you're like, okay, this looks like a normal neighborhood. But you get there and it's like, there's like standing water on the side of the road when it had not rained that recently. There's a boarded up house directly across the street. And I took a different turn leaving from when I came in. And there's this huge, I don't know what it used to be, but just like kind of one of those, it wasn't a strip mall, but it was like some kind of large storefront of some sort. And like all the windows were gone. And it was weird. The vibes were off. And I was like, this isn't my price range because I was initially willing to go up to at maximum $900 a month. And so, it was in my price range, but like the vibes are weird here. I don't know. I just don't know if I can do it, That was kind of the thing. Okay, I'm still recording. I After last episode, I'm kind of paranoid that I'm gonna be yapping for however long and like not recording, but I am in fact still recording. So, anyways, I looked at one house. It was kind of a flop. I heard back from another house. And they're like, the person still lives there, so I'm gonna have to coordinate with them to see when I can show it. And I was like, whatever. And I wasn't too hot about that one because it was like I don't know, it had like one of those stacked washer and dryers, and I have my own washer and dryer. It's like, actually, no, it's not the most expensive thing that I own. It's like the second most, well, I mean, they're not individual things. So no, they're not the most expensive things that I own, but they are the most, like, I would say, important in my home, weirdly enough. Um, what I say? Anyways, I have my own washer and dryer. I want to keep them. I like them. I like the way they work. I like having them. So I wasn't really considering places that did not have at least washer dryer hookups, you know? And I didn't really want a stackable washer dryer because those look like they just don't work. Like, I don't know what it is about them, but they just look like they're not gonna get your clothes clean or dry. And I'm not talking about like the front loaders that are stacked on top of each other. I was talking about those ones that you see in pretty much like every apartment. Like, they have the washer and then directly connected to it. Like, they're all one unit. There's the dryer up top. And it's like, that's not the vibe that I'm going for. And I think, at my big age and at my, I was gonna say big income level, but my income level is not big at all. I feel like I should be able to be a little bit more discerning about those kinds of things, not wanting to live in a place where there's a boarded up house across the street, that kind of thing. You would think that my income would afford me to be able to do that, but um, sort of ish, maybe, yesn't, essentially. So, anyways, I wanted to be able to keep my wash and dry. And so I went to see a place last week. And it's not something that I would typically consider, considering it is, and it's not a complex. It's not like, one of those, I don't know, C-shaped buildings that have all the doors, because I didn't really want to live in one of those places. Again, at my big age, like, I don't think that setup is ideal for me, to be completely honest. But it's a gated place, which honestly I don't particularly care about there being a gate. Um, but my mom was like super yoked about it for, well, I mean, not for whatever reason. She was excited about it because it's like, oh yeah, it's so safe. You won't worry about people coming in off the street or whatever. And it's like, I don't particularly care. And, this might be my naivete talking, but I, at this juncture, don't particularly care about people walking up off the street because, I mean, listen, I've been living here for 3 years and I've not had that many encounters with like strangers. And I get the neighborhood is different, but like still, that's not something that worries me like at all. I'm more worried about the people that I'm going to potentially be living next to, you know? And unfortunately, some of the stuff that you don't get to really experience when you're touring a place is like, how thin are the walls? And how much noise do the neighbors make? And, it's really interesting because as I was walking through my apartment and I was making sure to like really do the full inspection, I was opening every closet, looking in every nook and cranny. I was turning on all the faucets and I was flushing all the toilets to make sure they worked. And it was good that I did that because one of the toilets was like leaking when you flush. So that wouldn't have been caught if I didn't do that. Which, by the way, if you are out there, a burgeoning young person or really person of any age, looking at an apartment, make sure you do that. And if the stuff isn't running, inquire as to why that might be. Because the house that I went to look at before I looked at, well, it was a duplex. Then I went to look at before I looked at the place that I'm eventually moving to. None of the lights worked, but the water was on. So I was like, okay, that's kind of strange, but whatever, I guess. It was a new construction, so I guess it was just one of those things where I don't know. I don't really care. The lights didn't work. That's all there is to it. Um, the lights weren't on or the electricity just wasn't turned on or whatever. It's really not that deep. I saw that in my new place. I saw that the electric box was accessible, because the weird thing about it is that the breaker box in my current apartment here, it's above the refrigerator, and I would need a ladder to like access it. Thankfully, I haven't been tripping breakers in here, and I haven't had to go up and see like or try to like flip a breaker or anything like that. But it's good that that kind of stuff is accessible. I think there were fire hydrants in there for whatever reason. I cannot remember seeing any smoke detectors. They probably were in there. I took a video. I could look at the video, but I won't do that right now. And also, I think with that kind of structure, considering it's like a building unit, it's not like my first apartment where that's like a big building and then there's like a bunch of apartments in there. It's different. It's sort of like a complex, but it's not that big, if that makes sense. I think you legally have to have like smoke detectors in there, because if not, then that's a problem. But there was a fire hydrant in a closet, and I was going through, and in the dining area, I looked up and there's like this big brown rectangle on the ceiling, and I'm like, what's that? Because I'm walking through with the person that like owns the place, and they tell me like, oh, somebody was living upstairs, they didn't know how to take care of anything, and the toilet started leaking, and whatever, it leaked, and I guess they did something, I don't know. But anyways, I like to think that I was very thorough about going through and checking everything and making sure everything worked. I'm very happy to report there is a dishwasher. I will not be washing any more dishes for the remainder of 20. Well, okay, I still have to wash dishes while I'm here, but and also some things can't go in the dishwasher. So the things that can't go in which I don't own that much stuff that can't go in a dishwasher, but the stuff that I do own that can't go in a dishwasher, I will have to wash that by hand. It was kind of an older dishwasher too, so I'm not really, I don't know. I mean, I asked if it worked, and the person was like, yeah, it works, but I guess we'll see if it works, and if it don't work, I'm asking for a new one. So, because part of the reason why I even wanted to go look at this place is because, number one, it did have washer dryer hookups, which is very essential for me. And number two, because it had a dishwasher. Like, there being 2 bedrooms was entirely secondary to those 2 facts. So, like, if I'm moving to this place and I'm paying what I'm going to be paying, which is $925, which is a little bit more than my upper limit, if I'm going to be doing all that, I want to have a functional dishwasher. Like, please, I'm paying you money. Like, give me a functional dishwasher. It doesn't have to be a brand new one. It can be a slightly newer one. I just want it to work. I just want to wash my dishes. That's it. Gosh, I really got spoiled in college because we had a brand new, at the time, of course, it being 2017, but we had a brand new dishwasher in our unit, and it worked so well. I wasn't washing any dishes while I was in college. It was the best time of my life, aside from the fact that the roommate that I had, my suite mate actually that I had, my freshman and sophomore year, did not know how to load a dishwasher. Like, it was, oh my god, that chapped my butthole so hard. Like, we almost got in a physical fight over that because she kept putting bowls and stuff in the dishwasher facing up, just like putting them in, not putting them face down. And it got to the point where, honestly, I think she was just doing that just to make me mad, because I showed her, like, hey, here are the jets. The jets are pointing upward, so the water is going upward, and the dirty water is collecting in the bowls, so it's not getting clean, And I'm obviously putting my stuff in there correctly because I want my stuff to be clean, but she wasn't. And she was going in and rearranging everything so that they wouldn't be cleaned correctly, and now I have to run the dishwasher again. And so it's like they have to go face down so that the water goes up into the bowl, but it also goes down out of the bowl and doesn't just sit there in the bowl, Yeah, that's part of the reason why I just can't see myself living with anyone for a very long time. Like, stuff like that just drives me up a wall. And then, the fact that we did have our own washer and dryer, not a coin op or anything, in our unit, but it's like, there'd be clothes sitting in the washer. And this happened to the tremendous credit of the many roommates that I had, because I stayed in the same room like my entire time in college, and I had a few different roommates. But to the tremendous credit of the few roommates that I had, this happened very rarely. But there'd be like a couple of occasions where I'd be trying to wash my clothes, and I wash my clothes. I have been doing it since I've been washing my own clothes, literally the same time, Saturday morning. So that's when I've always washed my clothes. Okay, but there would be damp clothes just sitting there, and then they would get mad because I'm moving their stuff to the dryer. I don't know what they have in there. I don't know if it's delicate or not. And I got a note put on the washer one time being like, "Don't move our clothes into the dryer. Some of them are delicate. They don't need to go in there." And it's like, okay, if you have clothes in there that need to be washed a specific way, why aren't you paying attention to it? There's 3 other people that live here, respectfully, but that happened like twice, so I don't even know why I'm bugging that bad. I mean, even when I did live in my first apartment and it was a shared laundry situation, I mean, aside from the fact that pretty much every washing machine had dog hair in it, because someone, I don't know who, had like a white husky or something, a white dog, and there was just white dog hair in like every single washing machine, which to me, as a person who grew up having a dog, I didn't really care all that much, but it was sort of odd, you know? And also the fact that it didn't cost that much to wash and dry at that building. I will give that to them, because when I moved here and I didn't have a washing machine for like a month, it was like a month and a half, and I had to go to a laundromat, it would be like $13 total to wash and dry my clothes. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, I can't keep doing this. Like, this is crazy, you know? So I think my washer and dryer, I talk about these appliances a lot, but they occupy a lot of space in my heart, but they have more than paid for themselves, because goodness, anything to not have to deal with sharing laundry with other people who may not be as cognizant of other people's time. Because, what I did when I was living in my old apartment is that I would put my clothes in. It'll tell you how long the cycle goes for. And I would set a timer on my phone or my watch, and I'd go upstairs and the timer would go off, and I'd go downstairs and I'd take my stuff out. And it was there were no problems, because I stayed on top of it, But thankfully, I mean, there might have been like 1 or 2 Saturdays where I've run into the issue of there being no available washers and dryers. That was honestly really rare in my last apartment. But now I never have to deal with any of those things because I have my own machines. Like, that is so underrated. If you are watching this currently and you don't have your own washer and dryer and you have to share it with an apartment building, or you have to go to a laundromat, I feel so bad for you, because having your own laundry machines is underrated. I honestly think having my own washer and dryer is more important than me having a dishwasher. I'm not even gonna lie, because I don't know. I have come to come to the realization that I perhaps have some control freak tendencies. I do kind of want things to go my way. But honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, Just wanting to be able to clean my own clothes or having my dishes be washed, properly. I think that's pretty reasonable, And it's kind of crazy, because me and this roommate that I had in college got into this whole like thing. It was like a whole thing. I made a whole 2-part video on my YouTube channel after my sophomore year in college, detailing all of this, but I'll talk about it now. And honestly, I haven't watched those videos in years, so I don't even know what the vibe is in there. So like, I don't know, proceed with caution if you do seek them out. But we got into this whole thing because this girl just would not clean up after herself. Like, it was crazy. And I know, listen, when I was going into college, I was like, I do not want to do the traditional dorm thing. I cannot share a bedroom with somebody. Does that make me privileged? Yes! I never had to share a bedroom growing up. And that is a privilege. And it's one that I wanted to maintain going into college and also the rest of my life. So when I saw that Belhaven had the deluxe dorms where you had your own room, and I know in some of the traditional dorms you could get a single, but I didn't want that. I wanted pretty much my own apartment. essentially. And thankfully, I was able to get it. So, yes, I will acknowledge that is a privilege that not many people have. And it is one that I want to maintain, okay? I don't care how broke I get. I I don't want to share a bedroom with somebody. I just can't. I'm not wired that way. And I know some people are going to be like, oh, what happens when you get married? First of all, my husband is not even living in my house. I've talked about this already. We're getting a duplex. I get my side, he gets his side, and we're leaving it at that. But aside from all of that, she just would not clean up after herself. She had like all these GI problems, which I don't want to put her business on Front Street, but this happened literally almost a decade ago, and I kind of don't care anymore. This is 8 years ago. But she had all these GI problems, so she had to like cook all of her own food from scratch. And I was like, okay, whatever. You know, I would assume, being that you are someone who's had these GI problems for, I don't know, I think like her whole life or something like that, you would be accustomed to keeping a tidy workspace in your kitchen, considering you have to cook from scratch all the time. And keeping your kitchen clean makes it more efficient. But no, that's not what she did. It's crazy because I'd come back to my room from class sometimes, and all I want to do is just to go in the kitchen and make a freaking sandwich. And I can't even do that because there's just like stuff, you know, like flour and like those silicone baking mats, just like all over the place. You know, and we had a decently sized kitchen. We had an entire kitchen. Okay, and the entire kitchen would be commandeered with just stuff. The sink would be full of dishes. Keep in mind, we have a dishwasher, so there's like no excuse for that. And there would just be stuff everywhere, stuff left out and like starting to mold. I have a whole album of pictures in my phone that I have not deleted, and it's really funny because every so often I'll get a memory from Google Photos, like, remember this day? And it's just a picture of, you know, the absolute state of things in our dorm room at the time. So yeah, I was keeping track of this, and eventually it got to a point where it was like, this is crazy, like, you gotta, and by you I mean me, I'm talking to myself here, like, this is crazy, you gotta say something, like, this is getting out of hand. And I'm also the kind of, well, I don't know if I'm still that kind of person, maybe I am, who knows. I apparently don't know myself that well, but I was the kind of person at the time where if something was bothering me, I kind of just wouldn't really say anything until I got exceptionally bothered by it, and I'd kind of explode to my detriment, I guess. And so I got in, I mean, they weren't even really screaming matches. It would just be me yelling at her, being like, this is crazy, like, you need to clean up after yourself. And she apparently took offense to this, and I only started taking the pictures after I had talked to her and been like, hey, like, this is dirty. Like, do something, please. 3 other people live here, lest I remind you, you know? Or lest we forget, rather. Need I remind you? So it's like, this is crazy. And it all kind of came to a head where she had, like, a lot of stuff, you know? And I mean, being someone who is cooking all of their meals from scratch and also, like, baking a lot, of course you're gonna have a lot of stuff. She had like a lot of stuff though. Like, these days I think I have a lot of stuff. She had a lot of stuff, you know? And one day it was I think she was eventually like moved out. Or no, it was at the end of our sophomore year. She was moving out cuz we had butted heads so many times. She was like, I'm not staying here. And of course, me being the stubborn person that I was like, I'm not leaving. So, you know, I had purposefully picked my room my senior year of high school. I remember the day very clearly. I left our classroom. I didn't leave. I didn't ask to leave because, like, there's a lot going on. Anyways, I had gone downstairs to our library in my high school. I had waited until the time on the dot where incoming freshmen would be able to pick their rooms. I went on the little website. I picked my room. I already knew which one I wanted because I already had the floor plan of the of the University Village at Belhaven, like, saved. So I already knew where I wanted, and I went and I picked it, and I picked my room, and I stayed in that room for 3.5 years. It was You know what's crazy? I don't even know which one it was. Was it 305? I think that was my dorm room. I think that was 305A. And I was in the A unit. And that was where I was for 3.5 years, okay? So it's like, I picked this room. I want to stay in this room. I'm not leaving. Eventually, she would end up leaving. She and her little sycophant who ended up moving in there with her, who would back her up on not cleaning the kitchen for whatever reason. That was weird. And so eventually I'm like going at her because, again, like, you're being dirty. And at the time, I didn't have a coffee maker, so I was drinking instant coffee, which, by the way, instant coffee, not that great. I don't do that anymore. You know, I know there is some, like, really good instant coffee, but I was not drinking the really good instant coffee. I was drinking the swill, okay? So I had to boil water in a kettle that I still have, by the way. It's literally sitting over there. Boil water in this kettle to make my coffee. And, you know, I'm an everyday coffee drinker. So, you know, this was before, I don't think I had class, but I think I had to go to work study. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'm making coffee. I'm going to work study. And I go to the kitchen and I look on the stove where my kettle usually is, and it's not there. And I'm like, where's my kettle? And she was like, oh, do you mean my kettle? And I went off because I mean, it's not like I had forgotten or anything. I remember going into Walmart because it is literally a basic Walmart kettle. It's like a stainless steel, really basic Walmart kettle. I remember when my mom and I went to Walmart to buy like all of my plates and my, you know, silverware and my cooking. Why can't I think of the word for pots and pans? When I went and bought all my pots and pans, I was like, you know, I want a kettle. And I got the kettle, and all of a sudden the kettle's gone. And now all of a sudden my roommate is trying to be like, oh, you mean my kettle? And I was like, you picked the wrong time. Because I went way off. I ended up calling my mom, furious, being like, tell this girl. And I'm laughing now, but it was really not funny at the time. But being like, tell this girl that you bought this kettle and not her. And she was like, pump the brakes, Aaron, like, you're being so wild right now. So that plan didn't exactly go to plan. And so eventually, because, you know, keep in mind, she's like packing up to move out. So all of her stuff is like packed up, and I guess she, for whatever reason, maybe she did think it was hers. Maybe she did think it was hers because she just had so much crap, but it's like, I don't know. As someone who does not own that many things, like, I could probably pinpoint when and where, like, all of the objects that I have in my house came from and how they came, or their provenance. Provenance, that's the word, right? When you're, like, sourcing a painting or whatever. Yeah. I can pinpoint, for the most part, where every object in my house, like, came from. You know? I don't know. Maybe that's weird. Who knows? I don't. Okay? But eventually, my roommate's mom ends up coming up to our dorm because I think she was on her way anyways, because again, she was moving out. And, you know, I was like, well, I can't go to work study now because I'm not leaving until this is settled. I want my kettle back. Gosh darn it. You know? And so, it was so weird. I remember her, because I was sitting in my room at the time, just like sitting there being like, well, I guess this is like a whole thing. And her mom comes in the room and like stomps towards my door. My door is closed. And I'm like, is she about to like whip this door open and like what is about to happen? So as soon as I hear her coming up, I rush to my door and I lock it because I'm like, I don't know what you're about to do, but whatever it is, we can handle it with a door in between, you know? And she was essentially like, you know, it's whatever. Oh, I think I remember how all of this happened. I was trying to find my towels. I had a set of like kitchen towels and I couldn't find them. And what's really embarrassing is that I did end up finding them. My roommate had not taken them, but she did take my kettle. All right, my kettle was returned to me. I did end up finding my towels. And guess what? I still have those towels and I still have that kettle. So, moral of the story, there is none. Moral of the story is that I probably am not the most pleasant person to live with. And, you know, I don't want to live with anyone. I don't, really. I really don't. Like, no roommates, like, no spouses, I can't do it. I just can't. And, my mind might change at some point in the future. My financial situation might change at some point in the future. So it's like, I kind of got no choice. But it's like, no roommates. Anyways, I don't even think I even really talked about my new apartment that I'm moving to. It's got washer dryer hookups. It's got a dishwasher at last. It's got 2 bedrooms, so I'm finally gonna have an office, and I'm so very happy about that. Oh my goodness, that is amazing. So, in a month, I guess, in a month or a couple of months, the Runnin My Mouth background, as you know it, will probably be very different. Well, maybe not even that different, to be completely honest. I mean, the walls are still the same, landlord off-white, there's nothing really different about the background. I will say, this couch, I won't say it necessarily has to go, but I do want a new couch. Like, I want a couch that's actually, like, comfortable. Because, like, this couch is pretty small. Most couches, I'm laying on a pillow, but this couch, I could, like, lean back and I would be, like, sort of sitting up, kind of. But, like, I feel like most couches, I have the ability to, like, cross my legs. Like, I can't really do that in this couch. I want a couch where I can, like, settle in and, like, get comfy and, like, really get into it. Like, I want a nice, bigger, plush couch, And also, I'm not really trying to buy any, like, new furniture. I want to go to a thrift store and find a big plush couch that was in someone's grandmother's house for very many years, and I want to bring that into my home and make that my new couch. I also want to get a new bed. I've crunched the numbers, and I've been saving up for some time now, and I will have quite a bit of money left over after all of my moving fees and stuff are paid, and that includes first month's rent and, like, utilities and stuff. So I'll have money left over to buy a new bed, which is very fun. I can finally get out of my twin that I've been sleeping in for the past nearly 4 years, which is crazy. Because, like, I never slept in a twin, which, again, this is another privilege of mine that I have, but I never slept in a twin until I was in college. And, I mean, it was fine. My mattress in college was, I like the mattress that I have now. It's very comfortable. It is just small. It's so small. It's so tiny. I mean, it's not tiny. It's a twin. It's a standard sized twin. And, like, I can fit in a standard sized twin, being that I'm not, 6'5". So, like, it's fine for me. But, like, I want at least a queen. I don't have to have a king, because I don't even know if I have space for a king, to be completely honest, in the bedroom. But I would like at least a queen-sized bed. I feel like I deserve that. But the only thing about it is that I want to get exactly the same mattress that I have now, but it's like a Mattress Firm branded mattress, and I cannot for the life of me find, like, the model for it or anything. And, like, I want the same mattress because it's so comfortable. I do like it a lot, but, just in a bigger size. And I have no idea if I'm going to be able to, if it's been, like, discontinued over the past 4 years, So all I know is that it's a bamboo mattress and it has a Mattress Firm tag on it. I still have the original receipt from when I bought it, so I could just take it up and be like, hey, one of these numbers has to be an SKU. Like, do you still have that? And can I get it in a queen, Um, and also the good thing about it is that, I will wait a little bit to kind of replenish my funds before I buy this new bed. But I feel like by the time I do have the replenished funds, there will be a 4th of July sale. Because, like I said, I'm moving in June. So I can get up on a little 4th of July sale, maybe even a little Memorial Day sale, that these furniture companies like to do for some reason. I don't know why. Every single holiday is an opportunity for a sale, but it is. And we've got Memorial Day and the 4th of July right next to each other. So the Memorial Day sale and the 4th of July sale will maybe intersect. I don't think that's going to, like, double up on the percentage off, but, I'll have some time for there to be a sale going on so that I can get a bed at a discounted rate. Because I paid $400 and something for I didn't, my dad did, but this is before I'd actually started working, so I didn't really have any money, so my parents are still willing to buy things for me. Um, but the mattress, the box spring, and the frame were like 400 and something dollars. And something tells me that a bigger bed, especially now, well, I mean, it was still post COVID in that time, but now, which actually I don't know. There are some categories of items that you purchase that aren't affected by tariffs, and I don't know which one. I don't know if mattresses fall into that. Um but I did see a furniture store. This is just really jarring to me. A furniture store, a local furniture store here, and if you live in the Jackson Metro, then you've probably seen it too if you watch television. But they're doing a pre-tariff sale, which feels weird to me, almost dystopian in some way, but we're not going to dwell on that. It feels weird, but we're going to move on. I'm hoping that I can get a decent sale, but I have no idea how much a bed is going to cost, especially considering the bed that I have back home is like awful. Like, I've gone home these past two holidays, so like Thanksgiving and Christmas, and my back was just obliterated by this mattress that my dad bought from a thrift store. I will not be going to a thrift store to buy a mattress, by the way. A bed frame, maybe. Like, that might be fine. But a mattress, no. And I mean, it was technically a new mattress because it had the plastic on it when we went and bought it. But I didn't even get the opportunity to like lay on it. But I feel like it was fine when I was like in high school. But now, like, I wake up, my back just hurts. I inhale and my back hurts. It's crazy. Like, I was hurting, like, full body the last couple of times I was living at home. Not only that, but the bed was just loud. Like, it was an old spring bed, and it was just loud. Like, every movement that I made was just amplified throughout the entire house. It was crazy. Which is why the situation that happened on Boxing Day 2 Christmases ago was particularly difficult because I couldn't make any movements because my stupid freaking mattress was too loud. So even if there was like a situation going on, I would have got because, my location would have been alerted to because my mattress is like 60,000 decibels for no reason. No reason. Oh, anyways, we're not going to dwell on that. All that to say, I just want the exact same mattress that I have, but bigger. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it, though. I might be able to find a similar one. I mean, it wasn't like a unique mattress or anything like that, and I don't particularly like the memory foam ones because they're just too soft. They're just too soft, and I don't like it, and it's weird. So I like a pillow top mattress because that's what I have now, and it's very nice. I get good rest on it. But what else was I saying? Oh, I plan on turning that mattress into a daybed situation because it is a twin. I could probably turn it into a daybed situation for my office. And then I will have technically a place for guests because I want to have people over. One of the other things I was looking for in a potential new home is somewhere that I can like host people. Because something about me that I don't really get to exhibit all that often is that I really like hosting. I like having people over. I like cooking for people. I don't know, I just like it, And so I want my new place to be a place where people can come over and like we can hang out. Because presently, the only person that comes over to my house now is my mom. And that's like twice a year, maybe. So it's like, I want to have friends over to like hang out and like do stuff and just chop it up in my home. I want that to be a hospitable place for people, So I really want to, I don't know if I want to put too much like work. I don't really know what work would even look like in this scenario, but I want to have a nice comfy place, not only for myself, but for potential guests. So I want a new couch because this couch ain't going to cut it. And my mom was like, oh, don't get rid of this one. Like, you can have that be a secondary couch. And it's like, I mean, I could, but it's not going to be comfortable. Like, straight up. It just isn't. So I might want like a couch, comfy chair kind of combo. I want like an ottoman too, because, the only way that I can really lay on this couch, I don't know why I'm demonstrating it, is like sideways, which is like fine. But given that this couch is so shallow, I guess would be the terminology. In fact, I can measure this because my measuring tape is over there. I don't have to, but I'm gonna do it anyways. All right, this is my measuring tape. And I'm gonna measure the depth of my couch. And this is, I'm gonna say, it's like 22 and a half inches. So about, this, hold on, I think we can. Okay, this is how deep my couch is. That's not a lot. 22 and a half inches. And technically, this couch is a futon, but still, that's not a lot. 22 and a half inches. So let me look this up, because now I want to know what the standard couch depth. 35 to 39 ounces. So 22 and a half is like, I need to get closer to the mic. 22 and a half is like this much. So let me make sure I'm getting the right measurement. Okay, yeah. 35 to 39 ounces. So we'll split the difference and say 37 and a half. I don't know if that's splitting the difference, but whatever. 30, that's 36, 30, oh, I went too far. 37 and a half. See, already, that's so much more. That is so much more. Space, that's double, almost, not quite. It's almost double the depth. So, this futon, it served me well. I slept on it for 2 or 3 nights before I even got my bed. It's been in my old apartment. It's been here in my new apartment. I've taken naps on it, not comfortably, but I haven't really taken naps on this couch. Who am I kidding? I don't nap on this couch. I nap in my bed. But I want a couch that's good for taking couch naps and getting a big old blanket that's really soft and nestling into the corner and reading a book. I don't really have, I try to read a book on this couch and I'm laying down. I don't really want to lay down when I read a book. I want to be sitting upright, but still comfy. So it's I definitely want a new couch. 37 and a half inches is so much more space, Which, now that I think about it, let me see. Twin bed dimensions. A twin is 38 inches wide. So a twin would be perfect to turn into a couch daybed situation that would go in my office. But also at the same time, I still want a normal couch for my living room. So I want to get a couch. I've been to some thrift stores and I've seen I can get a couch for $150. A nice big comfy one, $150. And that to me feels reasonable because you look at some of these furniture stores, these furniture websites, and these couches are $1,000. And I'm that couch better be more comfortable than my bed for $1,000. I am kind of cheap. I have realized that I am kind of cheap, low key, but $1,000 on a couch is crazy. I don't know why those are so expensive. It's so crazy to me, but they are, and they have no right to be. And also, I'm getting a TV. I already have one. It's weird to say I have one set aside, but my mom got a new TV for my parents' bedroom, and she was like, oh, you can have this old TV, but currently, in my current space, I have nowhere to put a TV, at all, unless I mounted it on the wall, which I didn't really want to do that, because then I would have to hire somebody to mount it on the wall so that I don't, try to screw a television into drywall and have it come crashing down. I didn't want that to happen. And I'm still not going to be mounting any TVs to any walls. Off camera here to the side, I have this baker's rack that I bought because my current kitchen is too small. So I had to have a place to put a microwave and a coffee maker. And looking at it, it is kind of the perfect size and the perfect structure to put a TV on. So I think that's going to be my TV stand. I want to get a sound bar because the speakers on that TV are honestly kind of garbage. They're not good at all. I want to get a sound bar. I don't really know what I'm going to do with my speakers. If I'm going to have them, I think they are going to go in my office because they are currently connected to my computer via Bluetooth, but still connected to my computer. But also eventually I do want like an actual hi-fi setup, and I know those are like genuinely expensive. Like I can understand why a hi-fi setup would be like $1,000 because there's like a lot that goes into it. A couch, on the other hand, I don't know. I don't think I would ever pay more than $500 for a couch, and even that is like crazy, you know. But a hi-fi setup for $1,000, that includes speakers. So it's like, yeah, I can see where the money is going, but a couch, not so much. Um, so yeah, I do want to get a hi-fi setup at some point. I have these speakers, and honestly, they sound really good. But I want like a better amplifier, I guess, because right now I just have like a rinky-dink Bluetooth receiver from a random company from Amazon, and I really want to get into it because I was talking to my mom about this weekend actually, and I was like, man, I remember my dad used to have like this whole setup with like two. And I think I've talked about this before. Two Tower Sony speakers. I feel like they're the ones that everybody used to have, but they had like the wood grain on the side of them, and like this whole CD tower. Like we had a real deal entertainment center when I was growing up. The big piece of furniture where we had our TV in the middle. Of course, it was a big back CRT, our big back CRT in the middle. Which, boy, that had to be like a 25-inch TV. That was a big TV, low key. Which 25 inches? Hold on, I have my tape measure. Yeah, no, I think it was like a 25 incher because 25, that refers to the honestly, it could have been 30. It could have been yeah, I think it was a 30-inch because that refers to the diagonal um dimension. So yeah, we had like a 30-inch CRT. We had a VCR player, a VCR. Well, we had a VCR. We had a VHS player. We had a VCR because, of course, my mom liked to record The Young and the Restless onto tape. We had a CD player eventually. My dad had this huge stack of like CDs in this like built-in like CD case that was really cool. And then he had like all of these different like doohickeys that one of them had to be like an amplifier. One of them like connected to the radio. I think one of them was like a CD player, but it was one of those CD players where it could take like, I want to say 3 or 4 different CDs. Like that was really high tech for the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s, like pre-recession era. That was pretty good. And then of course the two big tower speakers that were like so cool. Like yeah, that was the pinnacle. Why did we ever move away from that? The entertainment center. Now people are just bolting TVs onto the wall, onto plain walls, and just like calling it a day. Bring back the entertainment center. I guess because most people don't really listen to music in their home. Because, when I was talking to my mom about it, I was like, yeah, like y'all never used that growing up. And I was like, I always wondered why. Because, I mean, clearly a lot of money, number one, and a lot of effort went into not only the CD collection but to building this hi-fi setup. And she was like, I guess it's one of the realities of growing up. You get older, your priorities change. They apparently used it a lot before me and my brother came along, but after that it was like no fun in the house, no music. I would have loved to grow up in a house where, okay, this kind of did happen, but it happened differently. It would have been really cool to see my mom cleaning the house on Saturday mornings, listening to like the radio or whatever. I mean, that's what she said she used to do, but now for whatever reason, having kids, well, I mean, not now, obviously this is early 2000s, but at the time having kids just like prevents you from doing that. Like that didn't make any sense. Because like I listen to music on my speakers cleaning the house on Saturday mornings, and that's a thing for me. So it's like I don't know why that couldn't continue. But I did grow up in a house where music was played constantly, except it was my brother playing music constantly, which was less pleasant, I'll say. But as a result, I know so many Soulja Boy songs, more than I ever wanted to. That's what I got out of it. you know? Yeah. Anyways, I do eventually want to get like a decent hi-fi setup, but that will take time and money that I don't have at present. I mean, I do have the money at present to like get a decent hi-fi setup, but that money is set aside for other things, you know? Um so I can't, get that right now, but eventually I will. But right now I have two Polk bookcase or bookshelf speakers and a, what is it, Fosi audio, Fosi audio Bluetooth receiver. And that is the extent of my audio setup that I have in my home. So yeah, I want something a little bit more decent than that. But of course, if I, and I really hope this isn't the case, but I hope I'm not moving to a place with paper thin walls where if I do actually get a hi-fi setup and try to use it, that people are going to complain. And it's like, ugh, you know. The one upside that I have now is that I can barely hear my neighbors. Although I can tell when my neighbor is like in the shower. But that is not like bad to me. My last apartment was way worse cuz there would be several occasions where I'd be woken up in the morning, like 5 or 6 in the morning, and it would make me so mad too. But also, realistically, how much can you do about it? But I'd be woken up to the sound of one of my neighbors like slamming the toilet seat lid down. Because in that apartment, they didn't have like the soft close toilet seat lids. They were like the hard, I don't know what they were made of. It sounded like they were made of ceramic or something like that. We have those kind of toilet seats. So if you weren't really careful and you accidentally or maybe intentionally, I don't know, or just carelessly because you didn't know that other people can hear it, but if you slam down the toilet lid, everyone can hear it, and it's really loud. It was really loud and really unpleasant. And then one of my neighbors, like my direct next door neighbor, was a violinist. So on some days I could hear her practicing, which that was fine because she was like actually good. I mean, I deign to think what, which I mean, they can't really hear me. At least no one has said if they can hear me, but I deign to think what people will think about me practicing the guitar in the coming weeks and months, and years, because I don't sound that good, It's a journey, and it'll be a long one that I'm undertaking. And I can't believe I've yapped about moving for almost an hour, but I have other things to put on or that are on the list. Um so another sad spot of not great news that we got in the community recently was that one of our venues, the Sunflower Oven, is closing, and I guess by now it's Sunday. What day is it? Sunday the 4th of May. So it is, I think, officially closed. Its last show was last Saturday night. And so, you know, I wrote a sort of eulogy about it on Jackson Underground that you can read right now if you haven't read it already. And I don't really know. I don't know. Obviously, it's sad that the Sunflower Oven is closing. We don't have that many venues here in Jackson that allow certain kinds of music to be played and allow them to be played without, taking money from the door. So it's like the amount that we have is now one less. So that's really unfortunate. I don't know how to put this. It's sad that it's closing. And the reason that it is closing, I mean, I don't know the full details, and I don't know when the full details are going to be made known to the public. I only know what the public knows. I'll just put that out there. I only know what the public knows and what was shared by the official Sunflower Oven account on Instagram. So I know about as much as everybody else knows. But apparently, the financials weren't that great. I don't know what goes into running a business like that. So I can't say why that's the case, but it kind of is what it is. Or maybe it isn't what it is. I don't really know, cuz I don't know, but yeah, it's sad that the Sunflower Oven is closing or has closed now, but however, apparently, and I don't really have all the details because, again, people don't tell me these things. I mean, they do, but they don't at the same time. Somebody is looking to, or someone or an organization, I don't really know because, again, I don't have the full details, is looking to buy the building. And as of right now, they are saying that, this potential buyer, well, not the building, because it's part of like a strip of like office space slash storefront space. Um, the person that is looking to buy that space is saying that they will continue to have shows at the Sunflower Oven, well, the former Sunflower Oven in that area, in that space. But as of right now, don't really know, first of all, who is trying to buy it, and also, what they might potentially turn it into. All of that is really up in the air. The future of that space, I will say, is kind of up in the air. And that's really all I know right now. I am supposed to be the ear to the ground, but the ground is being very quiet, and I can only say how much I know. So it's like, that's that. However, that being said, there are still shows that plan to go on at the Sunflower Oven or in that space over the next month and into June. So last night was technically the final official Sunflower Oven show, but there are 3 or 4, I don't know off the top of my head, I can't remember, 3 or 4 shows that are still slated to go on at that space. The next one is somewhat soon. I have it on my calendar. It's next Saturday, actually, that there's supposed to be a show there. So for now, from what I know, the shows that are being put on there are still set to go on, but that's subject to change, I guess. So as for the final hurrah for the Sunflower Oven, that was last night, featuring, let me tell you, featuring Die With Nature. They went on first, and Die With Nature always puts on a great show, so that was a lot of fun. Blue Daze from Hattiesburg were up next. That was my first time seeing them, I think. Yeah, this is my first time seeing them. They're kind of like a slower, kind of doomier sludge metal band. They were really good. That was a lot of fun. Next was, of course, My Good Judy's in Measureless Aeons. And I have not asked yet, but they played this one song that maybe they have played before, or maybe they switched it up a little bit. They played this one song at the end of their set that I liked a whole lot, but I cannot remember the name of it. Or I don't know the name of it. I don't think I ever knew the name of it. So they played some newer material. I think maybe there was 1 or 2 songs from their older material that they played, but they played some newer material, including, I believe, that last song that they played. And I'm about to, actually, I can do this later. They played the last song of their set. I liked it a lot. I really want to know the name of it. I'm probably going to find out the name of it between now me recording this and when this episode gets published. And actually, I know that, I think it's Ansley actually watches the pod. So maybe he would like to share in the comments what the name of the song is so that everyone can know. And also, I kind of forgot about it until last night, but they did say that they were, number one, working on new material and also working on some recordings or something. I don't know. I haven't heard much about that, but I hope whatever that song was that was the last on their set is included in that, because I did really like it and I want to listen to it more. And then there was Slowhole from New Orleans, Louisiana, which that was somewhat unnecessary. they're from New Orleans, and I gotta say, I don't know what's going on in New Orleans, but they're making a lot of good bands. To be fair, I'm trying to think, and the only 2 bands from New Orleans that I have seen might have been Brat and this band. Maybe I'm probably forgetting something along the way, but of the New Orleans bands that I have seen, they are pretty decent. I do like them a lot. Slowhole also, I got me a tape. I had to snag a tape. This is their self-titled. I don't know if this is an EP or a full length. But whatever. It's self-titled. It's called Slowhole. This is the front. It might be a little hard to see because it's red. And also, okay, it is focusing. This is their tape, their self-titled tape. That's the spine. I have no idea. Okay, no, that was upside down. Oopsie. That is the spine, and this is the back of the J card. As you can see, it is. Oh, my nails are kind of dirty. Oopsie. As you can see, it is. It's just like a blank tape that these are recorded on. These aren't like custom tapes or anything like that. It's just a regular like Maxwell tape. And from the J card, it says it's the program repeats on both sides, so it's not like double-sided or anything. The A side and the B side are the same. And now I'll just read. I don't know if there's anything in this because it's like folded. Oh, there is something in this. It's a larger picture. So this is what's on. I'll try not to stretch this out too much. This is what's on the inside of the J card. I'll see if I can. And this is from something. I don't know what it's from though. I could easily look this up. But let me see. The track list for Slowhole self-titled is Something Is Happening to Me, I'm Going to Kill You Until You Die, Star Crucified, Swallowed Whole, Only Pain and Suffering Will Make You Realize Who You Are, Birther, Die Today, Live Forever, /Bride 2, I believe. That's Roman numeral 2. And let me see here. Where is... Okay, here's how it is. Slowhole is David Hunter and Dante Galliano on guitar, Joey Laborde. I'm probably saying this like a little bit wrong. Apologies in advance. On bass, Mateo Molina on drums, and Shannon Arsenault on vocals and lyrics. Recorded by Rob Lavelle and Dante Galliano. Mixed by James Whitten. Mastered by James Plotkin. Mastered for cassette by Donovan Ford, and layout by Will Mecca. So those are the credits. It is available on streaming if you are interested. I definitely am. I will say, upon listening to it, I was like, Slowhole and Chora on a bill would chew so hard. Like, those two on the same bill, would chew so hard, because that's what it kind of put me in the mind of. Just the instrumentation and the lyrics. Well, not the lyrics, but the vocals. And so I do really want to give this like a good like listen to, because it was really something else. Like, oh man, it's really sad too, because the amount of like, I would say of all the venues here in Jackson, I think the Sunflower Oven might be the one that I've gone to the most. And just the amount of like good music and great bands that I've seen there, it's so much. And now, I mean, it's gone officially, but it could be coming back. The space could be coming back as something else, which is good. But there really was something special about the Sunflower Oven. And I have written about this at length. So I'll try not to rehash it. But for the people who haven't read it, it's, I don't know, it's something very unique. Maybe for this area. I don't know if there are other bakery / DIY music venues out there. There probably are. But to me, the Sunflower Oven was particularly special because, it just felt so unique to me, So now that that's no longer here, I mean, we do still have a lot of great and very unique spaces. In fact, my good Judy Lucy wrote about CSs in a similar manner. I can't remember on what platform this is on, but dang, now I really need to shout this out because she did a really good write-up on CSs. Oh man, hold on. I'm gonna find it. Here it is. It's on seed-saw.fun, and it's titled On CSs, the Mississippi Punk Dive of Our Dreams. And she does a really great write-up on, sort of similar subject of what makes CSs really unique and really great. So I definitely recommend you read that because it is a really great write-up by her. So yeah, it's like we do have a handful of these little unique, very special places. Um, and I hope we can preserve some of it. I don't know. I've taken a lot of pictures on the inside of a sunflower oven. I've taken a lot of videos on the inside of a sunflower oven. So I'm hoping, at least in that way. And I mean, I'm not the only one. I know other people have as well. But I hope in that way it can kind of live on, you know? So, yeah, that's, yeah. But anyways, it was a really fun show. I enjoyed it a lot, and I got my little tape, and I got my little memories. Could not take a final mirror selfie, because I don't know what happened, but the mirror is gone in the bathroom. It's just gone. The mirror is gone. I don't know who took it or why it's gone, but it just is. But also, the Simpsons arcade cabinet is in good hands. I did inquire about that because that was also a fun little aspect of the space. But everything else, I mean, the furniture is still there, but that will soon be gone as well because a lot of it is for sale. All the basically the entire thing is getting liquidated is what's going on. So all the bakery equipment is like for sale. The furniture is for sale. They had like a bookshelf full of books. I don't know if the books individually are for sale. I think people have just been like taking them low key. But yeah, someday soon, there will be many people who can say, like, I have a little bit of a piece of the sunflower oven. Like, literally, kind of, this is crazy, but kind of like, kind of like the Berlin Wall. I don't know. That might not be the best comparison, but, there's still people out there to this day, like, buying chunks of the Berlin Wall. Um, that's a little bit before my time. That's very millennial core, or maybe Gen X core, because Berlin Wall came down in the 80s, right? Yeah, so that's very Gen X core, buying chunks of the Berlin Wall. But yeah, so let's talk about some shows that are coming up. I alluded to one being next Saturday, but let's see. This week we have I Hate God featuring, oh goodness, who else is on that bill? Hold on. I know Heavy Yeti is there. Sludge Long in one of their final shows. It's not their final show, but it's one of their final shows. Because the people that are in Sludge Long are graduating college and are therefore disbanding the band. Where can I find this? What? Okay. What? Okay. Sometimes you go on your Instagram and you go to search and you just see like the weirdest stuff. Like, I feel like my algorithm is like pretty good for the stuff. Well, not really, let's be honest. Moderately good for the stuff that shows up on my homepage, but the search is crazy. I don't know, man. Anyways, where would I be able to find this? Let me see. Let me go to Howlin' Mouse. I feel like they should have it. It'd be weird if they didn't. They did post it like months ago. Here I am looking up stuff on the podcast again. Okay, here we go. So it's I Hate God featuring False Gods, which is what I'm most excited about because I've been listening to Neurotopia for several months on repeat, and if I could just get like a morsel from that album, I will die happy. Yeah, that's it. Beneath it, is it Beneath? Okay, yeah, Beneath the Kudzu, from Vicksburg is also performing, as well as Heavy Yeti, who has been, I guess, sort of resurrected after the Kicking Farewell for Now show, which, by the way, Kicking had one of their first shows back. They do have a new bassist. I don't know if he's going to be a permanent member, but they do have a new bassist, and one of their first shows back was at Dueling Hall, I want to say last week, or maybe the week before. It was recently, but Kicking is sort of back. So from their Farewell for Now tour show, it was just one show, it wasn't a tour. Heavy Yeti will be there, as well as Sludge Long, and that's going to be May 9th, which is this Saturday. And there's also Dead Alive, Phantom, and Exorcism, which will be at the Sunflower Oven. or what's left of the sunflower oven. And there's another show on the 9th. Hold on, there's another show on the 9th, and I believe, let me see here. Let me see if I can find it. 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 Okay, it's not in here. Dang it, where is this? Dang. Okay, May 9th at the End of All Music, Bob Piggins, Big Clown, Smokies, and Mostly Satire. And then I think that's it for the 9th. There's 3 shows on the 9th, which is crazy. There's something for everybody on May 9th. So whatever you're into, you can probably find it on May 9th. Saturday, the 10th, we have Cash Langdon, Sad Bath, Heath Walt, and Rosehaven Motor Hotel at the End of All Music. And then we have Upstage Gauge, Encircled Throne, and Milky White at Urban Foxes on the 10th. And then Friday after next, which is the 16th, we have Guiding Light, Weak Hearts, and Makeshift Tape Deck at Urban Foxes. And then after that, on the 17th, we have Drosera, Taste Defeat, Face Rot, and Mostly Satire at What Remains of the Sunflower Oven, which I have been meaning to see Face Rot for some time now. So hopefully I'll be able to catch them next, or Saturday after next. So yeah, that covers it for now. There might be some things I'm missing out on. Like I said in the previous episode, I have been trying to be a little bit better at adding shows as soon as I see them to my calendar so that I don't forget. So that about covers it. And yeah, it's gonna be so weird because, like, I'm in the process, yesterday I went through, my phone just vibrated, sorry. Yesterday I went through my whole apartment. I tried to tackle one quadrant at a time, going through and finding stuff to get rid of and finding stuff to, like, donate. I have, like, 2 bags of clothes and 1 bag of shoes that I'm going to donate. And then I had like 1.5 bags of things to get rid of. So honestly, going through and doing that is so cathartic because, like, I don't feel pressured to, like, hold on to, like, random crap that I have in my house that I'm not using or that I don't need anymore. So, like, I can just purge myself of it. So that's great. I will have to find a time to take all that stuff to a Goodwill, though. I don't really want to do it during the week, and I'm not doing it during the week because I rebuke that. Doing anything other than working during the week, I rebuke that. But I will have to, do that at some point. But now comes the arduous task of trying to pack literally everything I own into a box or a place that it goes. And I went to Walmart and I bought some cardboard boxes. I think what I'm really going to need are some bins, like some really good sturdy plastic bins, but that'll have to come a little bit later. And I need to eventually get a freaking frame for my Amadeus poster so that's not just, like, pasted up on the wall with command strips, which I really hope this thing doesn't tear. If it tears, I'm gonna cry so bad. Like, I could probably just buy another one from the same website that I got it from, but it's about the principle, okay? I don't want it to rip. Anywho. One more thing. I did not watch this last main season of Drag Race at all, but the lineup for the newest season of All Stars has been announced, and now I have no choice but to watch. Like, this, I don't know what they're gonna do, because it's like 18 or so queens, which is too freaking much. I suspect that it's gonna be teams again, because for there to be that many, that's a lot, Robin. Like, that's so much, 18, well, I don't know if it's 18. Is it 18 or 16? It's a lot of them. It's so many of them. But still, the lineup I have to watch. And now that I have found out that I have Paramount Plus through my parents' cable, like, I will be seated. I will be seated, but I don't think it airs until, what is it? Next, when does it air actually? I don't even know. I don't even know why I said Saturday. Hold on. RPDR. Nope. RPDR. All Stars 10. Oh, May 9th. Oh, it airs this next Saturday. Okay. So that'll be fun. That'll be fun, and I will have to be there. I will have to be seated. I will have to be seated. So yeah, hopefully I'll actually, like it and want to continue watching it. But based on the lineup alone, it's like I gots to. Although if they do bring back the teams thing, I mean that was only like a thing for like the first season of All Stars. And that went okay-ish. I didn't really watch that season. But from what I remember, it was kind of whatever. But there were some good moments from All Stars 1. I'm sure we all remember. But anywho, that will conclude the 47th question mark episode of the Running My Mouth podcast. I've been your host, Erin. Thank you for allowing me to run my mouth. Follow me on Instagram. Because if you're not following me on Instagram, you're only getting half the story. And that'll be it for me. I'm very proud of myself because I actually folded my clothes on a Sunday. So now I don't have anything to do as far as chores go for the weekend. And I mean, it's 8 o'clock anyway, so the only thing I need to be doing is getting in my PJs and going to bed, which is not what I'm going to do at this hour because I still have stuff to do, but not chore stuff. Anyways, goodbye.